Well, today on Turf Business TV, I'm joined by Declan Robinson over in Monaco. Hi, Declan. How are you doing out there?
Good, thank you. How are you, Martin?
I'm not bad, not bad. Obviously, spent a little bit of time with you last week and had a chance to look at what is obviously a unique facility there carved into the mountainside, but we'll come on to that in a little bit. This is really something that we look at least once a year. British talent that's exporting expertise, we call the piece in the magazine. And you're very much the latest. I mean, you've been out there for getting on for 3 months or so now, I guess.
Yeah, so I've been here since July. It's currently October now, so yes, I'm slowly settling in. Um, but yeah, like it was a big move for myself, and the family have come with me as well. So yeah, slowly settling into in life in Monaco, which is I never thought I'd say that, to be honest.
No, it does kind of sound quite nice when you put it that way, doesn't it? Your journey to get to here, though, how did it all start for you?
Well, if I start before I even thought about the industry, was playing golf. Really, I picked up a golf club, and that's what sort of got me into even thinking about greenkeeping, which was my first sort of insight into the profession. And at my local golf club, which was Hesham, I did my work experience, which I think most people do in the UK for sort of 2 weeks, at some point in secondary school. So from there, I went to Monaco College. I think a lot of people have sort of took that path. Really enjoyed it. Did a diploma there. And from that, I had to do a work experience, but more of a paid work experience as part of the course, and was fortunate enough to be taken on at Wimbledon, the All England Lawn Tennis Association. And from that point, I think I did 6 months there. I think it was from April to October. Was sort of every year they have what's the word for them? Seasonal staff. Every year they have quite a few seasonal staff that come in. I was one of them, and then I went on to pursue my first full time position at Arsenal with the late Steve Braddock. And yeah, most of my education was based through that place, to be honest. I picked a lot up from my school and other places, but that's what sort of that's where the root of my education within this industry came from. I spent 8 years at Arsenal across different sites, from groundsperson to head groundsman, and then from there I went to the Olympic Stadium for a couple of years. Unfortunately, that was sort of conflicted by COVID, which I wanted to really get the feel for hosting events,
Yeah.
and COVID and events didn't really align. Didn't really work
Not
out.
particularly.
And then after that, I was fortunate enough to take a position at Fulham and become grounds manager of Fulham. And then here I am.
So you had a little knock on the door and asked if you'd be interested in the Monaco job. You've you've obviously had quite a little bit of experience in terms of varied venues, a few different surfaces as well to be interacting with and looking after. But you mentioned Steve Braddock there. I mean, you're another product of the school of Brads, as we kind of put it. I mean, there's a number of you that have ended up as in top jobs around the world. To be frank.
Yeah, no, it was an education working for him, like, and he really did. He installed the correct values within grounds people, because don't it wasn't plain sailing working for him all the time. Like, it really did push you to your boundaries and your limits. And as a 19-year-old, I sort of didn't really understand that all the time. But looking back now, yeah, I've got a lot of respect for him. He's like you say, he's helped a lot of other people as well. Take some fantastic positions around the world. So yeah, the education that he's given the whole industry, not just the people that work for him, just through his methods and stuff like that. It's testament to him.
So moving on to where you are now, how did the job come about?
I was sort of, I was approached um, just via message, just to see if I'd be interested for just a genuine chat with Paul Burgess. He reached out and just asked if I'd be interested, and I responded in the manner that I thought, yeah, okay, I'll have a conversation. But in the back of my head, I was thinking, oh, I'm not really sure I'm ready for this. I'm not really sure, like in terms of where my personal life is and everything. I've always wanted to work abroad, but would it work? But no, they approached me, and the more conversations I had, and the more formal the process got, the more I become interested, and sort of it was something that I thought was a challenge across the board, not just professionally but personally as well. So that process happened, and then yeah, it all became successful, and here I am.
Interesting conversation with your partner, and I guess the kids were a bit too young to appreciate what's going on at that time, were they?
Yeah, I think like obviously I spoke to Paul a lot about the process. He was a great help. I think he was a good person to like communicate with through that process because he'd done it before. I think in Monaco he obviously his family wasn't here, so he had the two sides of the spectrum where he'd been to Spain and he'd done it without. And but when I spoke to my partner, it was quite clear what she basically laid down the ground rules and said, "Look, it's either all of us or not." So
Okay.
it's a journey for all of us. It's not just about me in terms of my job. Like they're challenging themselves as well in terms of my son's been accepted at school, and he's now in a French school. So hopefully that's going to challenge him, and he'll benefit from that. I think my partner in time will look to get a job, but we both need to learn French because it will assist us.
Yeah.
And yeah, my daughter, who's only 2, she doesn't really understand it. She's enjoying life.
In the sunshine, by the Med.
Yes, exactly. Lucky her. My skin doesn't really correlate with the south of France, but yeah, I'm sure I'll get there eventually.
I'm sure you can deal with it. Don't give us a hard luck story with the skin. So, obviously, it's a beautiful part of the world to live in. It's not a cheap part of the world to live in. How have you adjusted in terms of the little differences that are compared to being in London and around that area where everything's on tap, the hours that things are open and the response times, etc., are very different to my experience of working with people in France, shall we say?
Yeah, I think like I say, I'm still settling in, but there is a lot of the culture is completely different. I think there's some good things. There's some things that I would change, but it's not all about me. It's about me adapting as well. But yeah, for example, in personal life, on a Sunday, it's here. There's not much that's open, if at all. You know, when I've been out for food and want to go for like a late lunch, for example, everything closes at like 2 o'clock. You can't get any food past that time. So for the family life, it's sort of trying to work around that. I think in terms of professionally, like Paul has set up a contract here at Monaco that it really works in terms of staffing, and the staff he's worked with the culture as well. So they work a weekend, but they definitely get 2 days off every week. So the site gets what it requires, and also the staff get what they require. So it works well there. But yeah, it's a change. I think Monaco's got a lot of its own sort of legislation and rules, and like I say, it's expensive, but benefit through tax processes and stuff, but get it, like I've got a meeting for residency tomorrow. It takes a long time to go through all the processes. There's a lot of paperwork to do. My family still isn't registered, so we've still got to settle in with that process. But Monaco as a football club have been fantastic in helping me settle as well. They've got a player liaison officer that's helped me in terms of finding an apartment, and getting a rental agreement sorted, and also just getting furniture for my apartment and things like that.
So you're not living on a yacht then? Oh, I was looking forward to starting that rumour. But okay. The culture there is one thing. You've got a different environment. I mean, you've grown up with what many would say are perfect growing conditions for grass in terms of the UK. Now you're down in the south of France, completely different challenge. I know you've only had 3 months there, but during, I guess the peak of the summer, did you discover anything that you found was very different to back here in the UK?
I think it's a lot more intense in terms of, obviously you can understand with the climate. We reached over 40 degrees, I think, a couple of times since I've been here. We've had humidity because we're 500 meters above sea level. We've had humidity that's like stayed within 100% for long periods of time, which is testing conditions. But yeah, not just like agronomically, in terms of just finding suppliers, finding pieces of machinery, just these little like fine tuning the processes of hand tools and stuff like that. I find I've got to build relationships, and some of the materials that I'm used to getting when I want them, that doesn't happen anymore. So I've got to think outside the box in terms of when I order things, how I order things, working with people to try and create what we did have back home. I mean, I had to make a hand seeder the other day out of some plastic pegs and a bit of wood.
Yeah, I saw those.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd have to do, but needs must. And yeah, it's a challenge in terms of trying to improve the market within France as well. If I can have an influence on improving the industry over here because of the methods that I've learned while I've been in the UK and just my education, then I think I'd be proud to try and assist the industry in France.
That's really interesting you say that, because I think you're not alone down there in the south of France. There's a bit of a British or an English invasion with yourself, Scott Brooks, Paul Burgess, obviously before you. You've got Andy Cole, who's looking after the stadium at Nice. Is that a bit of a support network for you?
I think obviously I've mentioned that Paul was supportive in terms of like my settlement process and helping with me getting the role. And yeah, Scott Brooks, like I worked with him at Arsenal, so we have a relationship there, and yeah, he has been helpful. I think it's someone he understands the pressures of the environment that I'm in now, and he's got a little bit of education on how he dealt with things in Nice when he was there permanently. Obviously now he's not here all the time, but he is supportive on the phone if I ever need him. So yeah, I haven't met Andy yet since I've been here. I've met him previously, but I think no, it's good. It's good that we're over here, and like I said, if we can have an influence on trying to improve things, which I think we all are doing, then it's good for the industry worldwide, like not just in the UK.
With disease control, is that something that's a bit different? I mean, sometimes I've heard that, where a disease, you might have a little bit more time to react back in the UK because of the humidity or the heat or the conditions and the climate down in the south of France. It can really take hold very, very quickly.
Yeah, it definitely does. I think in terms of trying to control disease here, the EU's regulated a little bit differently to the UK as well now because of Brexit, and it means that some products are coming off the market, and we're going to have to look at more sort of environmentally friendly solutions, which we are doing. You know, like for example, we use um, the UVC daily to try and combat spore activity. You know, we make sure that we do our cultural practices and we're very strict on them. We've implemented fans, but yeah, you have to be a little bit more on top of the process. Let's say there's so there's definitely certain products that I used. For example, when I was in the UK, like phosphites, which we can't use here. So I have to adapt in terms of the way that I do things agronomically in that way. But no, I've noticed straight away that you know we're battling against very high temperatures and humidity. So it is something that we had grey leaf spot this year. As soon as it came, it you know it took hold. We had to be on top of it straight away. We managed to control it within a certain area, and we did really well with that regard. But yeah, I think next year we have a water restriction here, so that doesn't help in terms of the stress that the plant is under. So next year we've got to look at our strategy, whether we look at different cultivars of seed or we use different grasses. At the moment we use Poacetensis and perennial ryegrass. But yeah, it's a tough one. But it's a good challenge. I enjoy it.
Dec, you're not just content with invading the south of France. You're also looking after Club Bruges in Belgium. How's that part of the role work out?
So as mentioned, we have natural grass there. We've currently got 4 members of staff, and one is an apprentice who is, I think, currently on 1 week in, 1 week out. So we have a head groundsman, a deputy, a groundsman, and an apprentice. So we have 2 pitches for the first team that are constructed. One is hybrid carpet construction, and the other is clay-based sand soil. We've got some sand slicks within that pitch and a hybrid carpet in the goalmouth. And then for the academy, we've got 3 clay-based sand soil constructions, and 2 of them have hybrid carpet goalmouths as well. So we have a fleet of machinery, a little bit of pedestrian, and I think so. We have 3 Infinicut cylinders and 3 Infinicut rotaries. We have 2 Toro ride-on triple units, and we have a couple of ride-on attachments for vertidraining and cleaning up the pitch like a litamina. We don't have any growing lights or anything there, so it's not spec the same as what AS Monaco is. But okay. We also at Bruges, we're also looking at a brand new training facility next season, which is a 5-pitch site, which would be constructed of 2 artificial pitches and 3 hybrid stitched pitches.
So that new training facility, are you involved in kind of speccing that out?
Yeah, so I've met with the architects on a few occasions. The specification currently is 2 synthetic surfaces and 3 hybrid stitched pitches, stitched constructions. Currently, most of the decisions have been made in terms of how the land lies, what pitches will be installed. So it's just about fine tuning the processes now, what irrigation systems we use, like what kind of material we'll use in terms of the profiles. So a lot of the decisions have been submitted. We're waiting for full planning to come back on the process, and then we can start to fine tune the process. Just streamline, how we're going to do things and make sure that everything logistically works on site, and more about our sheds and wash bays and all the day-to-day logistics.
So that's quite an exciting thing to be involved in, isn't it? From pretty much day one on the job.
Yeah, no, it is good. Like I said, like some of the process was already submitted. Paul had an influence in the process before I was here, and I've just got to pick up on it. And like I say, straight away you're into the deep end. It's exciting, and just make sure that when it's delivered properly. That we've gone through every scenario that we can, and just make sure that it suits the football club and the needs required for Circle Rouge.
So, as another different country, there won't be any differences in regulations and the stuff that's available to you to combat stuff. But in terms of the climate, is that significantly different to the UK again, or is it very similar?
I'd say it's similar to the UK. Yeah, so it's like basically one site that's something that I have experience within, like in terms of the climate, and we use a cold season grass there, so perennial ryegrass is what's used. Something I'm familiar with on a day-to-day basis, and I'm quite comfortable with the management of that. And then coming here is like a little bit of a challenge in terms of the climate and the warm season grasses, and yeah, that's why it's quite an interesting position. Still keeps me within both sides of the industry, so to speak.
And we mentioned things you're used to. You're kind of used to the guys in England and the UK, and we're pleased to announce that you foolishly agreed to let us bring the Turf Business Summit to La Turbie this year in November. Thank you for that. What can the guys expect to see?
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. I think it's a good initiative. I went to the summit last year. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, I'm excited for people to see the landscape here. I think on a daily basis I get to drive up to it, and I hope that I don't lose that. I just hope I don't lose the feeling of how lucky I am, because it is really it's a stunning place to work. Obviously every work comes with challenges, but for me, I am fortunate to come here. We have got good staff in. We have got a lot of really good things here that most groundsmen would love. So for me to be able to showcase that to people at the summit, I think it's a really valuable experience for people to see. It's something for a lot of people to look up to, and to just understand where it can be. And like I said, I'm not naive to think that we are fortunate, but I also get to see the other side when I go to Bruges. So yeah, I think for the industry to showcase something like this, I think it's good. I think the more people can see what is achievable, the more people will push the boundaries within their own clubs. So yeah, I think it'd be really good for people to see.
I'll ask you the same question on the morning of the 21st when we're coming to see you. See how you feel then. Dec, great to catch up with you. Thanks for your time last week as well. I can echo what you said about that being an absolutely stunning facility. Nothing like anything in the world in terms of certainly its vista and carved out of the rock. Yeah, when people see it, I'm sure you can't really appreciate it from the photographs. It is breathtaking, really is. Thank you for letting us come and visit you there with the summit, and we look forward to seeing you very soon.
No, thank you. I look forward to seeing you as well. I'm sure we'll all be ready. I'm sure.
Yeah, say it enough, you convince yourself, Dec. Okay. Thanks again. Take care.
Cheers.